A very good evening. I'm Geeta Mohan and you're watching World Today. US President Donald Trump's crackdown on pro-Hamas students and activists seems to be intensifying with every passing day. Another Indian student has been detained in the United States of America. Badr Khan Suri, an Indian academic at Georgetown University, has been detained for his alleged links to the Hamas. This has put Indian students in panic mode as they fear that even their slightest sympathy towards Palestine or the Palestinian cause can jeopardize their stay in the United States, whether they're a visa holder or, for that matter, a green card holder. This comes just days after another Indian student, Ranjani Srinivasan, was forced to leave the US over supposed terror sympathies. The message is clear. Any association, even ideological, can send or end a student's American dream. But is this a necessary step for national security, or is it silencing voices in academic spaces? Here's a report.
Badr Khan Suri isn't just another international student. He's a postdoctoral fellow at Georgetown University with a background in peace and conflict studies from Delhi's premier institute, Jamia Millia Islamia. His research focuses on ethnic conflicts in West Asia and South Asia. Suri was arrested outside his home in Virginia by masked federal agents. His visa was revoked on the orders of Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The Department of Homeland Security says that Suri had close connections to a known or suspected terrorist. He is also charged for spreading Hamas propaganda on campus. It must be noted that Hamas has been designated a terrorist organization in the US. Now, his wife, Mafiz Saleh, an American citizen of Palestinian heritage, has also been targeted online for her family's supposed ties to Hamas. According to reports, Suri's wife is originally from Gaza but an American citizen now. The two got married in January 2014. The report further states that Suri's father-in-law, Ahmad Yusuf, was a former deputy foreign minister in the Hamas government in Gaza. In fact, Ahmad Yusuf is known as Hamas's gate to the West. So, now the question remains, is Suri's arrest about security concerns or political persecution? The action against students like Ranjani Srinivasan and Badr Khan Suri is part of the wider Trump administration to end anti-Semitic and pro-radical activities.
I think we ought to get them all out of the country. They're troublemakers, they're agitators, they don't love our country. We ought to get them the hell out. I think that guy, we ought to get him. I heard his statements too, they were plenty bad. And I think we ought to get him the hell out of the country. I watched him, I watched tapes, specifically I watched tapes. And you can have them, okay? You can have them. And you can have the rest of them. Let them go to school, let them learn. Columbia used to be a good school. Now it's been overrun because of bad leadership. That's what happens. Happens to countries and it happens to universities.
The crackdown is already disrupting education funding. The US government has paused financial aid programs, impacting thousands of students, many of whom depend on scholarships for tuition. This comes on the heels of Trump administration's decision to axe the Department of Education. Moreover, research funding cuts are making life harder for international PhD students. The message from the Trump administration is clear. Any association with Hamas, even verbal or ideological, can end an international student's American dream. The crackdown is now raising a major debate. Is this just about security? Or is it an attack on free speech? Elite institutions are under pressure to report students involved in activism linked to Hamas. This has left many in fear of being expelled from the country. With recent reports of visa holders and students facing scrutiny over their sympathy for Hamas, many Indian students are now in panic mode. They are now frantically deleting old tweets and posts that could be interpreted as sympathetic to the group. The fear that even indirect associations such as liking or sharing pro-Hamas content, could put them at risk of visa cancellations, deportations, or being flagged by federal agencies. On top of this, in a recent interview, Vice President J.D. Vance said that green card holders can't stay in US permanently.
A green card holder, even if I might like that green card holder, doesn't have an indefinite right to be in the United States of America, right? American citizens have different rights from people who have green cards, from people who have student visas. And so my attitude on this is, this is not fundamentally about free speech. And to me, yes, it's about national security, but it's also more importantly about who do we, as an American public, decide gets to join our national community.
The anxiety is particularly high in top-tier universities, where institutions are facing increasing pressure to monitor students' political activities. While officials argue this is a necessary national security measure, critics warn it could set a dangerous precedent, where free speech for international students is no longer protected, and political opinions alone become grounds for deportation. Bureau Report, India Today Global.
Well, let's then just focus on the Department of Education. President Donald Trump plans to sign an executive order calling for the shutdown of the U.S. Education Department, acting on a key campaign pledge, according to reports. Trump derided the Department of Education as wasteful and polluted by liberal ideology. However, finalizing its dismantling is likely impossible without an act of the Congress, which created the department in the year 1979. In 2023, the department sent nearly $60 billion for that year to schools in the United States of America. And according to reports, $1.6 trillion in federal student loans is sent overseas. In fact, the already implemented freeze in fund has already left thousands of foreign scholars in financial distress, impacting their education and cultural exchange initiatives. Popular scholarships such as Fulbright, Gilman, and critical languages have been affected, with students losing their anticipated stipends. This could largely impact Indian students studying in the U.S. The freeze seems to be one aspect of a broader federal cost-cutting effort, with agencies such as the State Department being instructed to redefine their expenditures. Meanwhile, the first step towards shutting down the Education Department has begun, with Trump administration freezing $175 million in taxpayer funding to the University of Pennsylvania. This is in response to defying the president's executive action and allowing transgender athletes to compete in women's sports. So it's not just about those who've gone ahead and supported Palestine, but also other areas that Trump focuses on, particularly transgender. The funding makes up nearly 1/5 of the Ivy League university's overall federal money received last year. UPenn, or the University of Pennsylvania, took roughly $1 billion in federal funds in 2024. But more taxpayer money could be at risk amid a separate probe by Trump's Department of Education into possible Title IX violations. The elite school became the center of the controversy over transgender athlete participation after one of its male swimmers changed genders and joined the women's team before going on to win the NCAA division title. White House, in a post on social media platform X, said, "Promises made, promises kept." Well, with that, shifting focus to another big story that we've been tracking through and through. Tesla is at the center of a political firestorm. We've been reporting it for a while now. Protests, vandalism, even arson. Dealerships across the US and Europe are under attack. The reason? Elon Musk's increasingly public embrace of right-wing politics and former President Donald Trump and his policies and his pledges when it comes to cutting down government spending and the loss of jobs that it has caused because of DOGE and the Department of Government Efficiency, putting in place the kind of policies that Elon Musk is now implementing. Some Tesla owners are ditching their cars in protest, while conservatives are rallying behind Musk. So as Tesla's sales slump and stocks drop, investors are asking, has Musk's political shift permanently damaged or the complete brand, or can Tesla separate itself from the man who built it?
Tesla has long been an industry disruptor in the field of electric vehicles, but now it's facing protests, vandalism, and declining sales. The reason is CEO Elon Musk's growing ties to right-wing politics and to President Donald Trump. The backlash has been widespread. Across the United States and Europe, Tesla dealerships have been hit by protests, some peaceful and others destructive. In cities like Portland and Seattle, showrooms have been vandalized, windows smashed, and vehicles defaced. In extreme cases, arsonists have set fire to Tesla vehicles and charging stations. Federal officials are investigating whether these acts are coordinated. Law enforcement has also been busy. A man in Oregon allegedly threw Molotov cocktails at a Tesla store, later returning to shoot out its windows. In Seattle, 4 Cybertrucks were set on fire in a Tesla lot. And in Las Vegas, multiple Teslas were torched outside a service center, with resist spray painted across the doors. Authorities believe some of these attacks may be politically motivated. Critics say that Musk's politics have changed Tesla's image. Many buyers once saw Tesla as an innovation-driven, eco-friendly brand. But after Musk bought Twitter, now X, and publicly backed Trump, some owners started selling their Teslas in protest. They say they no longer want to be associated with Musk's ideology. Tesla's controversial position has become deeply partisan. Among liberals, Tesla has gone from being an environmentalist's dream to a symbol of Musk's right-wing views. Progressive groups like Tesla Takedown are pushing for boycotts. Democratic politicians and activists are distancing themselves from Musk. Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona even sold his Tesla, saying he no longer wanted to support the company.
Hey folks, it's Mark Kelly here in Washington, driving to work for the last time in my Tesla. When I bought this thing, I didn't think it was going to become a political issue. Every time I get in this car in the last 60 days or so, it reminds me of just how much damage Elon Musk and Donald Trump is doing to our country. Talking about slashing Social Security, cutting healthcare benefits for poor people, for seniors. It's one bad thing after the next. He's firing veterans. I'm a veteran, so I have a really hard time driving around in this thing. So I think it's time for an upgrade today. So this is going to be my last trip in this car. There were some things I really liked about it. There are things I didn't like about it, but that doesn't matter. What matters is, doing the right thing. I think it's time to get rid of it. Elon Musk kind of turned out to be an asshole, and I don't want to be driving the car built and designed by an asshole. So, looking forward to my new ride.
Polling also shows a shift. Tesla's favorability among Democrats has plummeted. Many are switching to other brands. Conservatives, however, are rallying behind Musk. Donald Trump has defended Musk, calling him a patriot and labeling the Tesla attacks as domestic terrorism. Strategists for the Republican Party argue that Musk could even help make electric vehicles more acceptable to the right wing. Right-wing media figures have also praised Musk for fighting against woke culture. Yet Tesla is still struggling. Despite Musk's popularity, many Republicans remain skeptical of electric vehicles. Even though Republican interest in Tesla has risen, people still prefer other cars. Musk's political shift has also had real financial consequences. Tesla's stock has dropped 47% since Trump's second term began. Investors also worry that Musk is alienating Tesla's core customers. Meanwhile, US sales fell by 5.6% last year, the first annual decline in Tesla's history. Many investors are concerned that Musk is spending too much time on politics. His involvement in Washington and his push for deregulation have made him a favorite among conservatives. But some shareholders worry this could backfire, further distancing Tesla from the environmentally conscious buyers who helped build the brand. This also comes at a time when China's electric vehicles giant BYD has been dominating Tesla in a number of key global markets. Musk is still pushing forward with big plans, from self-driving technology to the Cybertruck. But his political stance has reshaped Tesla's image. The big question is this: can Tesla separate itself from Musk's controversies, or is it now permanently tied to political division? For now, the battle over Tesla continues. Protests show no sign of stopping, and politicians on both sides are weighing in. Tesla remains caught in the middle of one of the most heated political and cultural divides in modern business history. Bureau Report, India Today Global.
And with peace efforts between Russia and Ukraine moving forward, Europe is looking to engage key stakeholders as well. In the latest, French President Emmanuel Macron discussed the situation not just in Gaza, but also the Russia-Ukraine war, welcoming the kingdom's efforts in hosting negotiations aimed at reaching a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine through the Jeddah initiative. Meanwhile, Russia and the US will be discussing ways to ensure safe shipping in the Black Sea at talks on a possible Ukrainian peace settlement in Jeddah in the coming days. Earlier, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Ukraine had accepted a 30-day ceasefire proposed by the United States following critical peace talks between US and Ukrainian officials in Saudi Arabia. The ceasefire proposal accepted by Ukraine covers the entire front line of the fighting with Russia, not just the air and sea. White House said US President Donald Trump and his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky in a phone call on Wednesday agreed to a partial ceasefire against energy between Russia and Ukraine. The phone call came one day after Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin agreed in talks over the phone that peace in Ukraine will begin with an energy and infrastructure ceasefire in Ukraine. In a statement signed by the U.S. Secretary of State, Secretary Marco Rubio, and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and Ukraine's technical teams will meet in Saudi Arabia in the coming days to discuss broadening the ceasefire to Black Sea on the way to a full ceasefire in Ukraine. Trump and Zelensky discussed the situation in Kursk and agreed to share information closely between their defense staff as the battlefield situation evolved. That's what the statement said. But during the phone conversation, Zelensky also asked for additional air defense systems, particularly Patriot missile systems, and President Trump agreed to work with him to find what was available, particularly in Europe. And now, joining me to discuss this from the India Today Global Studio is Ksenia Kondratiyeva. She's a senior journalist with Russia Today. Ksenia, many thanks for joining us here on India Today. Now, there has been a discussion between Macron and the Saudi Crown Prince. He did appreciate Saudi Arabia's role, but how do you think Europe is really viewing these mediation efforts where Europe is in fact left out?
See, I think it's very complex. Europe definitely felt itself left out whenever Trump's administration has shifted its policy on Ukraine, and that has been a complete shift of the policy. Now, Europe's rhetoric is very militarized, I would say, and they're trying to push for the war effort to continue. They have promised to supply weapons to Ukraine and keep funding it because probably, there is there is lack of understanding what comes if the peace efforts between US and Russia achieve some success. Again, we are in the very initial stage. We can't even say the actual peace talks are taking place at the moment. It's more of of course, there is change. The dialogue has started, which is already a great thing, but we are very far from peace. And there is no clarity on condition. Most probably they are not, the conditions that are being discussed, the terms and conditions are not in the public, and that's what Russia would the way Russia would like to have it. But there is a lack of clarity for the European leaders as well. What role is there for them?
Right, Ksenia, then looking at the larger picture over here, the mediation is happening between US and Russia, and then again with Russia and Ukraine. So US is playing a critical role. But in all this, a major stakeholder is Europe. What does Europe really have to lose or gain, but particularly lose in this case?
Well, Europe has been Russia's large trading partner, and despite the ongoing war, it continues to import resources from Russia. I've just been to a Raisina dialogue here in New Delhi and have heard European leaders speaking so much against Russia, calling Russia a main threat. And at the same time, they continue their trade. So I have a feeling that European leaders sort of underestimated Russia back in 2022 for sure. They would want to see Russia as as a gas station, if I may say so. But Russia that is not growing, that is not developing. Because I've even heard a speaker saying that what is Russia without its nukes and energy? It will be, its economy will be less than Italian. But we see Russian IT giants coming up, financial giants coming up. There are so many technologies. It's just that the Europe and the West in whole is not aware because they don't want to be aware. So why I'm saying all this, because you asked me whether Europe has something to gain or to lose. I think if Putin's statements back in 2007, 2008 were heard and understood, then we would not be here and we wouldn't have the 3-year-old conflict which has, claimed so many lives on both sides.
Right. Ksenia Kondrateva, thank you so much for joining us. A very important message over here for Europe. They have lost out on engaging Russia, which is expanding, not just in one sector. Don't treat it like a gas station, but look beyond. That's the message coming from a Russian journalist. But shifting focus to the world of AI, has Grok gone rogue? That's the big question. Elon Musk's AI chatbot Grok is now under scanner of the Indian government. The Information and Technology Ministry has expressed concerns with X over the use of provocative language by Grok and will look into factors leading to it. Grok, which is embedded on X as a feature, has grabbed the attention of Indian social media users over its responses in unfiltered language and slang when provoked. The issue came to light after an X user's post on his interaction with Grok recently went viral. Meanwhile, sources say that the government of India is engaging with X on Grok's replies. Take a look at this report.
AI with an attitude and a sharp and filthy tongue. That is what the social media is saying to Grok, the immensely popular AI chatbot of X. The Indian government is now in talks with Elon Musk-owned X, formerly Twitter, over Grok, the AI chatbot using Hindi slangs and giving unfiltered and abusive responses to queries which are expletives-laden themselves. It all started when a user casually asked Grok for recommendations about 10 best mutuals, but the AI did not respond fast. Then the impatient user hurled some expletives. Replying to him, Grok just roasted the user in pure Desi style with unexpected swear words. This conversation went viral, giving rise to an outburst of memes. Now, the Information and Technology Ministry is stepping in to understand why Grok is using such abusive language. Grok is a feature on X and an alternative to AI models like ChatGPT and Google's Gemini. It was developed in 2023 by XAI, an AI company of tech titan Elon Musk. As AI is becoming a part of our daily digital conversation, the unfiltered words raises concerns on our control over chatbots. Bureau Report, India Today.